Hare Krishna, friends. So we're at verse 2, and now you're going to be thrown right into the deep end. This is where it's just really thick. We're going through the explanation of the full spiritual universe and the Svetadweep, which is Vaikuntha planets, all the way down into the material universe, Viraja, how the material universe is created, the aspect of Ramadevi, Maya, Shiva, Brahma, the whole thing. And it's pretty thick, but once you get through it, I promise you, you'll have a very different and beautiful, clear understanding of how the Vedic conception of the whole process works. So today, where our video is a little bit longer than normal, we're trying to keep them at like 10 to 12 minutes. I think today's is going to be closer to 20 minutes. But you'll see as we progress, they'll be shorter and shorter. You'll have a good grasp of the philosophy. And then when we get to Brahma appearing on the lotus around verse 22, you'll have a good understanding of the whole cosmology from spiritual all the way down to the material world. Okay, good luck. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, friends. So here we are at verse 2. Verse 2 starts off with the Sanskrit Sahasra Patra Kamalam Gokulakyam Mahatparam. That Gokula, the spiritual abode, the topmost, Mahatparam, the greatest place, is 1,000 petals, Sahasra Patra Kamalam, 1,000-petaled lotus. So here I have a little display, which is just a lotus, calling it Gokula. Right now, we're referring to the spiritual universe as Gokula. Soon, we're going to refer to the spiritual universe above the material universe, outside the material universe as Goloka. And the terrestrial version is Gokula. They're both the same. It just depends on your entry point of either one. But for now, we're referring to it as Gokula. Gokula, Goloka are exactly the same, but only with some small differences of where you're entering it, what you're seeing, basically. So, Sahasrapatra Kamalam Gokulakyam Mahatparam, that Gokula, the spiritual universe, is 1,000-petaled lotus. Tat Karnikaram Tad Dhamma Tad Anantamsa Sambhavan. The center of the whirl is this little center part, is the abode of Krishna. And this whole spiritual universe has manifested from a spark of Krishna's infinity aspect. Anantamsa, or a little piece, amsa, of Ananta. And this is, again, like we were discussing with the... where's my 100-sided dice? It's an aspect of Krishna, the creative energy of Krishna, Ananta, soon to be called Shankarshana, which we also know as Balaram, Baladev, Krishna's brother. It's not separate from Krishna, but it's a different face of Krishna, like our example of the dice. Let's go over the translation and some of this purport. It's pretty intense, so buckle your seatbelts. Bhaktisiddhanda says, the spiritual place of transcendental pastimes of Krishna is portrayed in the second verse, the verse that we're reading. The super excellent station of Krishna, the topmost place of Krishna, which is known as Gokula, has thousands of petals and a corolla like that of a lotus sprouted from his infinitary aspect, the whirl of the leaves being the actual abode of Krishna. So the infinity aspect of Krishna is where this beautiful 1,000-petal lotus has manifested. And we read that infinity aspect is called Ananta, which is also in Krishna's pastimes, Balaram. And if you're used to going to the temple and seeing Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra, and you're wondering what is this, these happy faces, we're going to speak a little bit about Balaram. Cool? So in the purport, Bhaktisiddhanda says, Gokula, like Goloka, and we already discussed that Gokula is the terrestrial version of the spiritual universe called Goloka, but actually they're the same thing. It just depends on how you're seeing it and how you're entering it. Is not a created, mundane, plain, unbounded character, forms the display of his unlimited potency and his propagating manifestation. In the study guide, the sentence is, Gokula, like Goloka, is a celestial realm born from Krishna's limitless power. So now on to Baladev. Baladev, it's the same person, the same name, the same aspect of Krishna. Ananta, Sankarshan, Balaram, Baladev, many names of this creative, sometimes it's the guru element, aspect of Krishna. Baladev is the mainstay of that energy. The transcendental entity of Baladev has two aspects, viz., something we never say in English anymore, infinite spiritual manifestation and infinite accommodating space for insentient gross things. And the study guide, Baladev, also called Balaram, a manifestation of Krishna's divine energy, supports this realm. Baladev represents two things: all infinite spiritual manifestations and vast space that houses all physical matter, the material universe. So Balaram is two things. All manifestations is Balaram, and the space that's housing it is also Balaram. And again, I'm going to repeat myself many times just so it fits in. It's not a separate entity, even though we have here Krishna and Balaram as two little deities, and that you think, oh, these are two separate gods. No. It's one supreme being, different faces of the one supreme being, just like different faces on one die. Okay? I wanted to read this sentence. Probably more people read this sentence and closed the Brahma-samhita and went, oh my God, I have no idea what's going on, than anything else. Sentences like this and sections like this is what encouraged me to actually put this together, because though it's a daunting statement, it kind of makes no sense. In truth, it's very easy to understand if we can understand what each word means and what it is that Bhaktisiddhanda is trying to say. So this sentence says, the uniquadrantial delineation of material universe will be dealt with within the proper place. The triquadrantial extensions of the transcendental infinitary field of the almighty, unlamenting, non-perishing, and non-apprehending, unlimited situations of halo, which are fully spiritual, majestic foilation. He's saying, details about the makeup of the material universe will be explained later. This realm extends infinitely in three directions. That's the tri-quadrantial extension. In three directions filled with radiant spiritual energy, which can neither be destroyed nor comprehended. So when we're reading, I would like you to please make an endeavor that if you get to a point and you're like, what does this mean? Try to read through it, read it out loud, and then compare it to the study guide. And then you can put the words together, and it actually makes sense. Bhaktisiddhanta's words are beautiful, and they're not just a bunch of nonsense. He actually has really put a very clear, concise understanding of all these things. The problem is, we don't speak like that, and our English is just pretty basic. And so his thoughts about this are very high. His intelligence is very high. His learning of English is very top level. And so when then he puts it out, we get a sentence like this, and people, especially in the modern world, go, wow, what is this? Here Bhaktisiddhanda describes the sameness and difference between Goloka and Gokula. Some designate this region as the abode of the Supreme Narayan, or the original fountainhead. Hence, Gokula, which is identical with Goloka, is the supreme plane. The same sphere shines as Goloka and Gokula respectively by its upper or transcendental and lower or mundane situation. The study guide says, some consider this place as the ultimate residence of the Supreme Narayan, or the original source of all things. Hence, Gokula and Goloka, being the same, are the supreme plane. Within the same plane, Gokula is accessed through the earthly realm, and Goloka, the spirit realm. Then we have a quote from Sanatana Goswami in his book, the Brahma2samhita. I'm going to read it from the study guide. He, Krishna, displays his pastimes here in this land as he does Goloka. And so we're now referring to Vrindavan, Braja. This is the local name of Gokula. The difference between the two planes lies only in their location, as high and low. That is, in other words, Krishna displays exactly the same part in Goloka as he exhibits on the mundane plane Gokula. There is practically no difference between Gokula and Goloka, save that what exists in the shape of Goloka in the upper region is the same as Gokula on the mundane plane when Krishna showed his various activities there. Sri Jiva Goswami has also inculcated the same in the Bhagavad Sandarbha of the 6 treaties. So the pastimes are the same. We're speaking about now Vrindavan. In India, you can get in a plane and fly to India and take a bus to Vrindavan. And that region where Krishna came in the human form and engaged in pastimes is called Vrindavan. That region is Gokula, the spiritual realm. And the only difference between that region and Goloka, the spirit realm, is what pastimes are shown to you in your eyes, because in Goloka, all the pastimes exist. Here, only the ones exist that are shown to you. And that's it. You enter through the earthly realm in Gokula, or you enter the spiritual realm, Goloka. That's the only difference. Okay, let's finish this up. It's a lot, so let's really dig in and focus. To ascertain the plane of Goloka Vrindavan is the eternal abode of Krishna, and Goloka and Vrindavan are identically one. And though both are identical, yet Krishna's inconceivable energy has made Goloka the acme of the spiritual kingdom and Gokula of Mathura province forming a part of the mundane plane, which is also a manifestation of triquadrantial vibhuti conducting majesty. Essentially, though they're one, we refer to Goloka as the spiritual one, spiritual kingdom, and Gokula as the manifestation in Mathura. Poor human understanding cannot possibly make out how the extensive triquadrantial, which is beyond human comprehension, can be accommodated in the limited nether material universe of a uniquadrantial disclosure. How is it possible that a spiritual universe can fit within a material space? Goloka is a spiritual plane. Hence, his condescended position in the region of material space, time, etc., is in no way restricted, but unlimitedly manifested with his full boundless property. So he's calling Gokula his. So when we're saying his, we're referring to Gokula, Goloka, and saying that Gokula is an unlimited spiritual plane, not affected at all by the material region. So though it's within a material region and the material region has a dimension, the spiritual plane does not. But conditioned souls are apt to assert a material conception in regard to Gokula by their miserable senses so as to bring him below the level of their intellect. They look at Gokula and they say, I go there and I see buildings, I see streets, I see dogs, I see people. It must be material, it must be calculated. And so they're bringing a spiritual thing below into their material calculation. And then there's a nice example here of the sun. Though the eye of an observer is impeded by a cloud when gazing at the sun, and though the teeny cloud can never really cover the sun, still the clouded vision apparently observes the sun as covered by the cloud. So there's Gokula, the spiritual universe, but we're clouded by the teeny cloud of the material aspect of it. We see buildings and people and cats and dirt and sewers, and we think the Gokula can't exist here. It's covered. In the same way, the conditioned souls within the obscured, with their obscured intelligence. Let me try that again. In just the same way, the conditioned souls with their obscured intelligence, senses, and decisions accept Gokula as a piece of measurable land, or Vrindavan. We go there, we measure it, we say Gokula is this big. We can see Gokula from Goloka, which is eternal. This is also a mystery. The attainment of final beatitude is the success in attaining one's eternal self. So to attain that final vision of Gokula, to see it without the cloud, is attaining one's vision of oneself, self-realization. The success in identifying the true self is finally achieved when the screen of gross and subtle coils of the conditioned soul is removed by the sweet will of Krishna. So when one understands the self, one can see Gokula. How does one understand the self? That's by Krishna's will. However, the idea of Goloka is seen to differ from Gokula till the success in unalloyed devotion is achieved. And so until we achieve pure devotional service, we'll see them as separate. There's Gokula, there's Goloka. The transcendental plane of infinite spiritual manifestation, having thousands of petals and a corolla like those of the lotus, is Gokula, the eternal abode of Krishna. How nice. So beautiful. When I first read this, I thought there must be some mistake in that they're using Gokula and Goloka interchangeably. Even when we were editing it, we were thinking, did they use this incorrectly? But no, it's because my vision is clouded. I'm full of material calculation. From Bhaktisiddhanta's perspective, from the clear-minded soul, Gokula, Goloka, same thing, just different words, that's all. So nice, so wonderful. I hope you're inspired as I am. Hare Krishna.